Animation leaks happen all the time, and it's always interesting to see what could have been, such as the case of the canceled Medusa film from Sony Pictures. Animator James Baxter did a pencil test of the titular character, and it got pretty popular on Twitter. Sony is known for canceling many good things, like the Popeye movie, but luckily, the animatic of that got leaked. The subject of today's video, however, is not a leak, but an official posting by the creators themselves. What could this be? Well, none other than a rejected Disney show. Details about this pitch were released online, including the full-powered animatic and cold opening for another episode. However, before we get into that, we have to talk about something just as important: the Dwampyverse. Hello, I'm Daft Pina, and today we're gonna be talking about some animation stuffs, and my cat's with me. I didn't put him there, like he just jumped on. And so we're gonna see how long he stays on here for. There. The Dwampyverse starts with the creation of Phineas and Ferb, made by Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh. Now, I think it's pretty obvious where he got that nickname from. People name Jeff like Bob's. PNF, that's shortened so I don't have to say Phineas and Ferb the whole video, lasted between 2007 and present. It revolves around the titular characters during summer vacation, doing wacky things and making inventions that fall apart whenever the sister Candace tries to tattle on them. The original run was from 2007 to 2015, however, the show got renewed for 2 new seasons and 40 new episodes. The show received much fanfare and even got some animated movies. The second one, Candace Against the Universe, was produced and animated during the COVID pandemic. Keep that time frame in mind for later. After the original run ended, Dan and Jeff created a semi-sequel show, Milo Murphy's Law. This comes from the phrase Murphy's Law, despite the fact that who named it was actually Augustus de Morgan, and it's terrible we never got Augustus's Law. But while the known phrase is anything that can go wrong will go wrong, the true phrase is way more boring. The first experiment illustrates the truth of the theory. While confirmed by practice, whatever can happen will happen if we make trials enough. Anyway, the show stars Weird Al Yankovic as Milo, a kid who has so much bad luck and nearly kills him every day. But much like the rest of us, he still has to keep going. But I wonder why the town just hasn't murdered him yet? Are they stupid? The series takes place in the same universe as F&B. This is noted by the fact that their pet, Perry the Platypus, and Dr. Doofenshmirtz appear a lot in it. And Phineas and Ferb appeared in it too. The series would only last between 2016 and 2019 with no TV movies. A third possible season could happen if a lot of people watch on Disney+, so like do a trending hashtag on Twitter if you want it to happen. The next show in the Dwampyverse is Hamster and Gretel. It's about a normal teenager doing with his younger sister and her pet hamster getting superpowers. This is the most current show in the Dwampyverse, despite the fact that only Dan is the one who created it. Oddly enough, the show only has 38 segments for the first season, a direct contrast from Phineas's 47 to 65 segment count per season, and Milo's 36-ish segment seasons. To fill in a 30-minute time slot, instead of having one full episode, it's actually 2 episodes split apart. So like 10 to 15-ish minutes stories. Hamster and Gretel would later be renewed for another season, presumably with the same-ish amount of episodes. For this series connection, Dan commented in a Variety article, Milo and Phineas both lived in Danville, so this is like a town over. This is much of the case of Bless the Hearts and King of the Hill taking place in the same universe, the Hillverse. The former has Jesus as a recurring character, meaning Jesus is a real character, the true son of God in the show, and he just likes to hang out helping people. Well, except for Hank and his family, but he'll go around to it. He'll get around to it. Unfortunately, there haven't been any Jesus sightings in the Dwampyverse, so one can only hope he'll rise again. But this next show was never released, and supposedly was going to be the 4th show in the Dwampyverse. I'm glad to be then the possibly first YouTuber to actually talk about Weird Waters. June 8th, 2022, Bob Bowen uploaded a rejected Disney TVA pilot to YouTube in full. This wasn't a leak or anything, like a employee worked on it, they want to show people, but no, the actual creators upload themselves. It was stated in the description that was created by Milo Murphy as well as Hamster and Gretel alumni, Bob Bowen and Jacob Hare. They pitched the show to Disney in 2020. It revolves around a divorced mother, Patty Robertson, and her kids, Eddie and Olive. One kid is very smart, and the other really likes to make films.
Unpacking.
Whoa.
Unpacking.
Oh, it's going to our old house, 2,453 miles away.
They travel across the United States to live with their uncle David, who happens to own a water park called Weird Waters. There's also a creature from the Black Lagoon, but legally distinct character called Gilbert T. Tuna. Universal lawyers, don't worry, it's legally distinct. His name's Tuna. You good?
This walrus hasn't bathed in 2 days. I take it from a creature who's eating sardines. This guy stinks. Oh no, the athletic fellow is chasing me. Oh, I'll never outrun him.
Moving on!
In addition to the pilots, the duo Bob and Jacob released a cold opening to a future episode that would never be. And a cold opening is basically what they had before a theme song to really get people going. The idea started as, quote, a monster is a star attraction at a water park, but was retooled to be a family thing for Disney. Disney would ultimately pass up the series in 2021. This was due to pandemic cuts at the network and the company being at peak pandemic. It was around the time when the Candace movie was being made, and a lot of the animators were working from home to finish it. This also affected many live action shows too. But when stated, it was developed at Disney as a family show, where we created a full pilot animatic, black and white storyboards to audio, with 10 voices by family and friends for free, thanks again to them. Was Disney passed, we tried selling it around town to no avail. We were, and are proud of it, but feel the time has come to let it go. Check it out if you have some time. We're just glad someone gets to see it.
I will not work with children in my act!
Wait, what?
One of the weirder aspects about this whole deep dive is the fact that Bob nor Jacob ever referred to this as existing from the Dwampyverse. In both uploads and what I could find about them talking about it, it was only Disney TVA Animation News referring to it as such. This is also posted on Twitter, with the only source being the YouTube video. Well, it's most likely because the description states created by Phineas and Ferb alumni. This would include not only Bob Bowen and Jacob Hare, but also Dan Povenmire creating the theme song. It is also remembering they pitched this out in the networks, thus making it hard to fully be part of the Dwampyverse. Though they should just called it the Finiverse. It's like saying Steven Universe is in the same timeline as Adventure Time, because Rebecca Sugar worked on Finn and Jake. Come on. Oh, and Rick and Morty Gravity Falls doesn't count since it's a multiverse thing. Anything can happen there, and that's why the video is titled the way it is. It's not clickbait. In fact, there's actually a lot of misconceptions in animation I want to go over, but I'll have to save that for another time. While watching the pilots, I noticed some interesting things that won't stay in my brain, so I gotta tell you immediately right now. Number one would be the length. At 25 minutes, it felt a bit thin. With this pilot being an origin story rather than a typical day in the life of, a lot of info is dumped onto the viewer. This is the note, the original Phineas and Ferb pilot was around 19-ish minutes long, and I think it's better suited for a 15-ish minute time slot. Like, the decision to split it up into like 11 to 15 minute episodes was way better. Number two, not only are they moving across the country, but it's weird the mom specifically states you won't be seeing much of her.
I'm looking forward to practicing medicine in my hometown, but my hours will be long, so you aren't gonna see me much.
I just filmed the back of your head for 8 hours, Mom. We've seen enough. And besides, we're gonna live at a water park. Somehow we'll manage.
If this ever did get a series, I hope the chosen... You good? If this got a series, I hope the chosen voice actor for the mom at least gets a second role. Second role in the show. Or else they'd be listed as the guest star every other episode. And the B plot with the mom was about paperwork. Yay! While the A plots was the kids and the uncle trying to make a commercial to get people to attend before foreclosure. While the mom tried to desperately talk to the rich man trying to buy them out.
Look, can I just talk to Mr. Hugart? I know he's back. I can see him, and he actually looks bored.
It's known that the rich man literally owns everything in the town, so yeah, probably not gonna work. Her side plot deals with a lot of adult things, which is a bit odd, considering the show's seeming demographic. But in saying that, the art style weirdly doesn't match Disney TVA. While adult animation does not have a specific identity, adult primetime animation usually does. This is more so for network shows like Family Guy and American Dad, but also Netflix's Big Mouth. The difference is execution, in which where the show is emulating a single cam or multicam sitcom. While they're all sitcoms, the difference is a lot. For a single cam, you have to have a wide variety of angles to use, like Phineas and Ferb. While for a multicam show, it's usually just wherever has the characters facing 3/4 towards the screen with little variation in camera angles. This is noting the fact that Bob and Jacob have also worked on shows like Family Guy, American Dad, and even Border Town. This specific art style is more reminiscent of Big Mouth, and in doing so, gave me a bit of a weird feeling. I associate these faces, poses, and even camera angles of adult shows, yet everything happening within it is for kids. And some comments have noticed this, but that does not make this a bad show, because of the art style. Rather a confusing one, noting the zeitgeist of modern animation. Could this have broken the trend that this art style is only for adults? Maybe, but if they picked it up, a lot of tubers would be like, whoa, is this Big Mouth for kids? Despite the show not aiming for that at all. But I did keep expecting one of these characters to say fuck. In fact, the personality of Gilbert T. Tuna felt a lot like Roger Smith from American Dad. Playing pranks and dressing up a lot.
I found the sea monster man to be quite handsome, and if you bring him a can of sardines, you get him for free.
No, we will not, Gilbert.
You used to mess with Grandpa Thaddeus, too? You monster! How could you do that to him? To us? How dare you? I can't believe it makes me crazy. I'm trying to scare me.
But sometimes the original demographic is changed to fit the network. It's like when High Guardian Spies was pitched as the kids show, but then Crunchyroll said, oh no, it's actually for adults. We didn't tell you that? Change it. now. Or like when a show was for kids, then they made it for adults, like Young Justice? That was weird. I did like the charm and dynamics between the characters, as well as the overall idea. And thankfully, despite never getting picked up, Disney gave the rights back to Bob Bowen and Jacob Hare. To this day, Bob works for Disney TVA, and Jacob works for Green Portal Productions. They're both hired as directors for children and adult animation, respectively. Perhaps another day they can meet in the middle and make a PG-rated show. You know, like the time when King of the Hill aired on Cartoon Network? Not Adult Swim, I mean like actually Cartoon Network. I'm glad they released the pilots on the internet for people to see. I'm happy we saw what could have been, but perhaps wasn't meant to be. Thanks for watching, and be sure to support me on everything. Literally, everything. My Twitters, YouTube channels, and Patreon. Go, now. Until next time, keep on drawing, and don't forget to have fantastic